All right. All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting officially to order on January 13th, 2026. Thank you to all who have joined us tonight here in the council chambers, as also those joining us by live stream YouTube. We will begin our meeting with the commencement, invocation, and pledge of allegiance. So I will have Councilmember Ed Gray to lead us in the pledge, and if you would, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. I want to read the diversity statement. The town of Apex values and celebrates diversity and inclusion. We see diversity as a strength that binds our community together. Inviting members from different faith communities to deliver the invocation at the beginning of our council meetings supports this unity. Recognizing that not everyone practices the same traditions, we welcome you to have a private moment of silence. If you would, please join me in a word of prayer. Father God, we come to you and we thank you for this time that we can assemble and handle the official business of the town of Apex. Continue, Lord, to lead us in your wisdom and to ensure that we do it in unity, love, and the spirit of this community where we all work together in what's best for the town of Apex. We give you glory and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, so the next thing we have is announcements and petitions by the governing body. This is something new that we're doing. In February 2025, the town council unanimously adopted changes to the meeting agenda format to be effective January 1, 2026. You may notice that the agenda sections are in a different order and new agenda sections have been added to provide clarity and efficiency and transparency. Okay, just read the notes here. At this time, members of the governing body may use this time to share updates on a variety of different topics or submit petitions for future considerations with the entire board and the community. Topics presented that require staff research, follow-up, will be noted and brought back at a future meeting for discussion. So we'll begin tonight by going in seniority order by council member, and members who do not have any announcements or petitions, that's fine as well. You may simply state that you do not have any items. So we'll begin tonight with Mayor Pro Tem Terry Mahaffey. Are there any time limits on this, by the way? No time limit? So you can take 30 minutes.
All right, man.
Go for it. Just kidding.
New section, huh?
New section.
What am I supposed to talk about? You guys catch a Bills game? No? So I guess announcements, petitions. I don't have anything great for the board. I do want to say every so often I have office hours. I want to invite you all to come. I had it last week or the week before. Every second Thursday at the Senior Center. And I hope you guys attend. That's all I got for today.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move to Councilmember Gray.
I do want to say thank you to everybody for being here and welcome to all those who are here as we're kicking off our brand new meeting sessions and starting off this year. I'm grateful for my colleagues and for the town staff for being here. I do have a couple of things I just wanted to note. First thing I wanted to note is that I too also have some office hours. It's the third Thursdays of the month. If you've got questions, it'll be posted up on our webpage. Also, just as so as not to drag this out too long, I do think it'll be really important we'll be utilizing this section to help kind of educate a number of things as we get into a lot of these sessions. One of the reasons why we have this break now is traditionally it's the time that you hear from us is when we're getting a chance to talk about, specific matters before us, zonings, petitions, things of that nature. But this is a period that's given so that we can provide a little bit more context and bring things before the town and before our colleagues that we typically can't do. So I'm glad that we've had a chance to include this section and look forward to how we get to utilize it in a safe and brief way.
Very brief.
Over the coming sessions.
Thank you, Councilmember Gray. All right, move to Councilmember Zigerman.
No, nothing too fancy, but just want to say Happy New Year to everybody here. It's great to see a full house for our first meeting in 2026. I'm excited about the new meeting agenda format. I think it allows a little bit more flexibility, and I hope that the public will feel the same. So nothing other to note, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, Councilmember Moo.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I have one or two new things to announce. My office hours starting in February, every second Wednesday afternoon, right? That's right. Yes. If you have questions, if you want to talk to me, please welcome all of you to reach out. We can have one-on-one conversation. Also, there is another thing. Lunar New Year is February 17th this year, but our celebration is February 12th. The Thursday, February 12th, from 5:30 to 9:30 at Prestonwood Club. So if you are interested, please let me know. I can send you registration link and forms. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. All right. Councilmember Reese.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gilbert. Happy New Year, everyone. I also want to say that I am informally right now carving out Fridays, varying blocks for office hours, and so I will finalize that over the coming months. But for right now, feel free to reach out to me via email or give me a call, and we'll set something up. The other important update I have is I have officially given my first remarks as a member of this council, and I am incredibly proud to say that that was presented to the Cub Scout Troop 226. And I want to say I was honored to be there. I want to thank the troop masters, Chris and Hannah, for doing such a wonderful job contributing to our community. I want to thank the Cub Scouts for their hard work and fantastic questions. I'll eventually have to meet with our town manager and staff. They varied from how we would handle a dinosaur invasion to time travel. And so those are things that we'll address at another time.
So how do we handle the dinosaur?
I told them that they were incredible questions and I need to get back to them.
Good job. Good job. Thank you so much. All right. I do want to say, I do want to offer thanks to the council members that were involved with changing this format of the meeting. Thank you so much for your work on this. And I just want to welcome everyone, of course. Happy New Year to you. I do want to recognize celebrities that are in the house. All of you are celebrities, but then we have super celebrities. So we have the AKAs in the house, right? Give them a round of applause. The pink and green. I got pink and green shoes now for you. And then we have the Deltas in the house. We have how many Deltas there? Enough. Very well, very well. Thank you for being here. So this is an opportunity, as mentioned, to present some, and what I'll say is an ideas, something that we have started at the town of Apex. And I want to kind of offer this to Manager Vosberg and staff for consideration. We've had some conversations about it, but I want to formally present it tonight in front of my colleagues here in council. And I know we've had some side conversations about recognizing former council members, those who've made significant contributions to our organization. And there's been a lot of people that's done that. So not meaning to give everybody a trophy, but I will say, and I often say this, Apex is recognized for a lot of great things. And there are a lot of people that came before us that placed us in this position to receive that honor. So I would like to present some names for consideration. I know we just recognized Audra Killingsworth and Brett Gant. I do want to recognize, in the spirit of MLK, Clarice Atwater, as most of us are aware of. She gave 12 years to the town of Apex. She was the first Black elected official for the town of Apex and female. And I would like to look at what can we do to honor her as we have with other council members. I also want to offer up Mayor Keith Weatherly, who gave 23 years to the town of Apex. That's a lot of time. And I will say he led us through the EQ chemical explosion back in 2006. So I think that should be explored. And I have a couple more names, and then this is just for consideration, and we can revisit this. Mike Jones, close to 20 years. Dr. Doug Meckes, 10 years, and then Bill Jensen, 20 years, my understanding, and check the math on it. But those are some names I kind of want to present for consideration to be honored in some way. All right. So that's all I have for this section of the meeting. So we'll move now to the adoption of the meeting agenda. And I have the following changes that are recommended: revision of proclamation number 1, Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And then applicant request to continue public hearing items number 3 and 4, annexation number 807, and rezoning case number 25CZ related to Castleberry Road until February 24, 2026. So those are the only changes I have been presented tonight. Are there any other changes?
Mr. Mayor, it looks like the public forum was not included on the printed agenda that we have in front of us. I just want to make sure that's still.
Yes, it's on the back here.
After
Yeah.
town clerk's report.
Yep. It's on page number 7 of your copy. Should be. Maybe my copy is different.
I don't have a page number 7, Mr. Mayor.
Page 4, top of page 4.
Page 4.
Page 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's on a different order on the online agenda. That's,
My copy has a little bit more, a few more papers, pieces. Okay. So you good?
I'm good.
All right. Very good. All right. So with that, those changes presented, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion Zigerman.
Second?
Second. Gray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Move now to the consent agenda. We do have a change, removal of consent item number 12, which is ordinance amendments associated with the downtown parking time limits. And that is the only other noted change I have.
Motion approved?
Motion to approve, Mahaffey.
Second?
Second. Gray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. No council committee reports tonight. We'll move now to the town manager's report. Manager Vosper.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I do have a few updates. I wanted to start with a very important introduction. We had our new electric department director start this week. So I would ask for Kathy Moyer to come forward. You want to say anything from there? Yeah. You good?
Up the mic.
Come on up. They're going to make him up. As she's walking up, I'll tell you, we're excited to have her here 25 and a half years. The half is important too, with Electricities. She left there as the COO for Electricities, so we are getting fantastic credentials. She's also a member of our community already. She went through Peak Academy last year, so very fortunate to welcome Kathy. So you want to say a few words?
I will keep it brief, but I am very happy to be here. Moved to the community in 2017 with my husband and my family. My kids went to Apex Friendship, so with some of your kids. So very much love being a part of this community and look forward to working with you all.
All right, welcome. Thank you so much. All right, glad to have you.
All right, I'm going to move into a couple of other items. Next, I'm going to do the Olive Chapel Road update. And I know there's a lot of people that are watching this. I don't have any breaking news tonight, other than things are going really well. And I think there was a video that pointed out that things are going very well there. You may think it's starting to look done, but there is still a little bit of work to go through. They're working on the storm drainage. Once that's completed, they'll install the guardrails, safety rail, pour the curb and gutter, pour the sidewalk, pave the road, and install the pavement markings. So a little bit left to do on that project. The official DOT date is still February 10th. Weather permitting, we're hoping that gets shaved off a little bit, but no guarantees. So right now, the DOT released date is February 10th for Olive Chapel to open up. So maybe we'll have a little party that day for that event. So things moving great. And the contractor, you may have noticed, and I think we did get a little feedback on this, but they're working 6 days a week to try and make sure that project is done on time. I think in the month of December, they worked like 24 days out of the month. So even with the holidays, they know what a priority it is for our community to have that road opened up. So thank you to DOT for all they're doing on that project as well. Next, I'll move into, I have a brief utility update. I was hoping to officially be done with the log by now, but we're so close. Right now, our number, and it changes daily, and we also are bringing in new customer items each day. But right now, we are about 94 to 95% done with our backlog. So that equates to somewhere between 50 and 60, depending on what data people left on the log. And some of those are within the last 2 weeks, and they're items that we're working through that we normally would be anyway. So I'm hopeful by the next meeting, I'll be giving you an update that the backlog is done, and we are just handling customer issues as they come in as real time as we can. So the mechanism that we handle the majority of our calls real time is through our Ask Apex Center, which is our information center. And the staff there continues to do a tremendous job. The average wait time right now for a call is 44 seconds, right? So you have an issue, you can get resolution on 90% right now. They're able to resolve 90% of the calls that are coming in, and your wait time is 44 seconds. So that continues to do what we had hoped it would do. I don't even think we've officially launched it. We just kind of threw them into it, and it's just taken from there. So they're doing a great job, and that continues to improve, and hopefully we'll get up to even higher percentage of calls that they can handle there. So then pivoting from that to our electric meters, we have some information that we'll be releasing in the next couple of days too. We've got some videos that we'll put out. But the replacement program is going great. We are around 20% replaced right now. Totals a little over 6,100 electric meters. The integration's been great. We have a reading success rate of 99.39%. And I actually went out today with some staff and witnessed the exchange of a meter. And we have a contractor. They're clearly marked in their vehicle. It says Town of Apex contractor. They go to the door, knock, inform the homeowner if they're there. If not, they leave a door hanger. In this case, the homeowner was there. Told him, hey, you may lose power for possibly up to 10 seconds. We walked around the side. I watched them replace the meter. They document the existing data that is with that meter before they pull it out. That is preserved. Then they pull out the mechanism, and then they put in the new, and it literally took about 10 seconds. And there was a little more time to put it, lock it back up and everything. And in this case, the homeowner didn't lose power. They had something special that allowed that. But a seamless process. It's just the volume of getting them done. We are anticipating to be done with the whole replacement by the fall of this year because we have quite a few customers that we're working through. But this is a necessary technology upgrade, but we're extremely pleased with how it's going and the vendor and their work in that case. So a little bit more to come out on that later in the week. We'll have a video on that. All right, moving into a couple of things. I'm going to mention we've got special events coming up with the MLK Junior Holiday that is this coming weekend. There'll be a closure town hall for Monday, January 19th, but the festivities begin on Friday, the 16th at 6:30. It's the Black Author Exhibit and Creative Contest Presentation. This is in the Apex Senior Center. You can get more details on that on our website. Then Saturday, January 17th is the MLK Unity March and Breakfast Reception. So this begins at 8 a.m. where you'll gather at Apex First Baptist Church. That'll be at 8 a.m. The march begins at 9 a.m. The march will then go down Salem Street towards Town Hall campus, and around 9:30 there will be an MLK commemoration breakfast reception at the Apex Senior Center. Then on Sunday there is the MLK worship service, and I believe this is at First Baptist Church. And 11 a.m. participate in the community choir at Apex First Baptist Church. And then the 19th is actually being celebrated as the National Day of Service. And so there are various service events around that. I believe we're participating in a collection with Neighbor Up, formerly Dorcas and Western Wake. So you can participate in the festivities that day. So a lot of things happening this weekend in commemoration of MLK Jr. Birthday. Next on my item, I have an item for a clarification. We've started to receive some questions about the meeting on January 22nd and kind of what's the game plan, what are the parameters. So I wanted to offer some clarity. The purpose of this meeting, it's a joint meeting of our town council and our planning board. The meeting will take place upstairs on the 3rd floor. We will have overflow accommodations, I believe, according to the clerk, in this room as well. So the meeting is not on a specific site. It is and does not have the current data center applicant on the agenda, and it's not a public hearing. So it is a work session of town council and the planning board. There will be no presentation from the current rezoning application, and staff will present information that we've been working on. I say we, but the staff, planning staff, and all the other staff involved, they've been working on it for months to gather this different information. So there'll be a presentation on that information that they've been gathering that will address data centers in general. And as we look into the regulations and any current or future proposals that come forward, the intent is to give you all the technical knowledge so that you can weigh in on those proposals as they come forward. So we'll show you the results of what we've been working on for months and collecting. We'll hear feedback from both council and from the planning board, and then anticipate if there are any gaps in the information that we've brought. We'll take that feedback and then gather any additional information that we can bring forward. So that's the big intent. I think there was some discussion about if an applicant's going to present. That is not the case. It is a staff presentation with information being provided to council and to the planning board.
And Manager Vosper, I think it's important to set the expectation here, which is that, this isn't specific to any current application or any current site. We all recognize that data centers are going to be a problem. They're going to be a thing that's going to be coming before us. And what we need to do is we need to figure out what's going to be our policy way ahead. And the only way we can do that is if we have the conversation, we get the information, we get the data, and we get an opportunity to hear the answers to the questions that we've been asking staff. And I'm glad that we're doing this with the planning board, because that's going to be a key component for us as we're trying to figure out how do we deal with this as a larger policy issue. And I think it's important to remember, we can't talk about a specific site. We don't want to give an applicant an additional opportunity to make a presentation to us, knowing that they still have to go through the process and procedure. That just would not be a fair advantage for them, and I don't think it would be respectful of our overall process. But I do think it's really important that because we can only meet when we provide these sort of public notices and things like that, it's really important that we get a chance to meet and get a chance to hear this, to hear the data, to hear the information, give us an opportunity to ask questions, and also give us a chance to really just brainstorm and figure out the best way ahead on these things. Because we know that this is, the headwinds on this are clear. This is not an isolated incident. This isn't something that's isolated to us here in Apex. It's got national issues associated with it, state issues associated with this, and this gives us a chance to at least start to figure out the policy way ahead. So I do think it's important that we understand going in that this is going to be our opportunity to really hash and talk about what the issues are that are out there. But the applicant doesn't get a say and doesn't get to make their pitch and explain what it is that they want or what they feel they should be able to get.
It's absolutely correct. And to your point, the topic, it's such a technical topic, and that's why we want to spend this time giving you the body of research that we've been exploring and finding. I mean, if you think about the noise issues, water issues, buffering, impact to infrastructure, there's so many nuances to that we want to spend the time, and that's why we wanted to bring the two bodies together too, because you're both potentially going to be weighing in on these and need that information. So yes, absolutely, to your point.
I have one quick follow-up, which is housekeeping issue. What would the potential outcomes of this January 22nd work session be?
I think the outcome that we're looking for is digesting the information, and we know it can't all be digested in that meeting, but taking all of that in. If there are any known gaps, like, hey, we'd like to know more about X, Y, and Z, or we've heard about this, can you go research this? So we're looking for any other direction on something that we can gather so that you feel in a place of knowledge to adequately evaluate proposals as they come forward. Whether it be a site-specific or the increased regulations that are coming forward, changes to UDO, whatever it may look like, we want to make sure you have the tools to do that. So we'd be looking for feedback from you and the planning board as to what else you're looking for in terms of education and knowledge on it. Thank you.
I think I already know the answer to this, but the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, right?
Yes, sir. It'll be live streamed. The meeting 3:30. It is a work session, but it'll start at 3:30 on the 22nd, and it'll be live streamed and recorded.
That's right. Okay. And the agenda will go out on Friday.
On Friday. Okay. Everybody good on that one? Okay. One last item, a little bit lighter. And I wanted to, I don't know if anyone notices a big tennis racket in the
See that
room.
tennis racket back there.
So I do want to invite up Laura and Brian, and also Jason Simpson, if you would come on up, please. So our Parks and Recreation Department received 2 awards, the 2025 USTA Southern Outstanding Parks and Recreation Award and the USTA North Carolina 2025 Outstanding Parks and Recreation Department Award. So some pretty good awards that they got. And I wanted to give due recognition. Jason was instrumental in working through this. So I wanted to invite our speakers up here, and you can introduce yourselves and kind of tell us your involvement with tennis and go from there.
Well, thanks for having us, and I guess you knew we were going to talk tennis because I brought my racket. I'm Laura Wyant. I'm the Executive Director of Western Wake Tennis Association. We're the nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote the spirit and growth of tennis in Western Wake County, which of course includes Apex. And we are here tonight to highlight the 2 awards that the department got. They received the Outstanding Parks and Recreation Department Award, and this award, actually 2 awards of the same, it's called Outstanding Parks and Recreation Department Award, and it honors those who made the greatest impact in its community during the past year through programming, events, and partnerships. They first won the award for USTA North Carolina, and I'm sure you can imagine there's a lot of park and rec agencies across North Carolina. And after they won that award, they were nominated to the Southern Section, which is 9 states, and that is a whole lot of park and rec agency awards, and they were selected out of that group too. The reason they were selected is their dedication to make sure tennis is accessible for all. I think the fact that you redid those Apex Community Park courts might have had something to do with it. And by the way, USTA did provide some grant money for that. Arguably the healthiest sport on the planet. Tennis can add 9.7 years to your life on average, just by playing 2 to 3 times a week. Interesting fact, the next activity down was another racket sport, and that's badminton at 6.2 years, so it's still more than that. And it's the physical, mental, and social benefits of tennis. The programs Apex provides to the community is impressive. Tennis really isn't as much of a walk-up sport as it is a program sport. And through our partnership, the courts are programmed for beginners, experienced players, youth, adult, league players, clinics, and you also provide tennis for intellectually disabled, and now you provide tennis for wheelchair players. Revenue is generated, courts are programmed, and it's truly tennis for all in Apex. Further, what you're doing through all these programs is you're building a community. The tennis players came together because of new programs, and now they're playing together, they're playing leagues together, and then they're going out and socializing afterwards. So it really is a thing of beauty. It's been my pleasure to work with Jason, Evan, Emily, Craig, among others, to get tennis players out to play. And while Western Wake Tennis and the community is certainly grateful for this partnership, I personally am grateful for them, not only their dedication and commitment, but they make my job really fun, and I appreciate that. So thank you and congratulations to Apex Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department. They truly are outstanding.
Awesome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Rosenthal. I'm the owner of RDU Tennis, which is the tennis contractor for the town of Apex since March of 2021. I have to say, I love all the wolf pack that's in the house tonight. It's good to see a lot of red. Mayor Gilbert, I love what you do on social media. Big follower of yours. It's fantastic. I'm here tonight to just really echo what Laura said. These are 2 massive awards presented by USTA North Carolina and then the USTA Southern Section. The Southern Section is comprised of 9 states throughout this country. So there are a lot of Parks and Rec departments that were possible nominees for this award, but it's the town of Apex that earned it. My company works with several parks and recreations throughout this great state, but I'm here to tell you, and I wanted to recognize the gentleman to my right, Jason Simpson, as probably the very best person that I've ever worked with in the Parks and Rec world in my tenure of running RDU Tennis for the last 18 years. So the awards are deserved, and the town of Apex is in great hands with their Parks and Recreation Department. And it's my honor to congratulate Jason and the town of Apex, and it's a pleasure to run your programming over these last several years. Thank you very much.
Yeah, picture time, right? Congratulations. Thank you so much for all your work. And I just want to go back. You say add 9.7 years to my life.
Those are, yeah,
You gotta get started now.
I know.
the mayor and then tax-paying years.
Okay, that sounds good. No, this is really impressive. Thank you for all your work. And yeah, we need to celebrate this big. So Jason, I think you should take Saturday off, man. This is your day. Yes, sir. I'm just trying to work with you, man. All right, picture time. Let's do it. All right. Everybody right here. All right, you got it? All right. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Hit anything with that racket.
Recognize.
It's big.
Memorable.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll move now to, thank you so much for all of that nice report there. Town clerk's report.
Yes, Mayor, good evening, council members as well. This is a new section again, and for consideration, we've got 3 advisory board appointment decisions. Typically during the town clerk's update, you'll receive either appointments, any updates on our government relations strategy work, any meeting changes, and if there's any other announcements, we'll bring that up during this time. But we'll start with our town clerk report item number 1, which is appointments to the Board of Adjustment. There are 3 requested actions. This is to move Mr. William Hollenbeck, who is currently the alternate 1, into a regular board seat, Ms. Heidi Sicko from alternate 2 to alternate 1, and Casey Angel from alternate 3 to alternate 2. This ultimately creates a vacancy in our alternate 3. We had Ross Stocks, who was a regular board member, who has reached his term maximum, and he has rolled off. So we've asked everyone to move up, and we have 3 alternates so that the board members can participate in training and go through quasi-judicial hearings before they ultimately are voting on a case.
All right, so we approving all 3 in one. Okay, all right. All right, with that being presented by Clerk Alan Coleman, is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion Mahaffey, second.
I defer.
Who wants it?
I defer.
All right, Zigerman, second Zigerman. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
The second item is on the Environmental Advisory Board. This is setting the chair and vice chair for calendar year 2026. The board unanimously voted on this during their December meeting. They have recommended Mark Schwiegel as the chair and Jerry Moeller as the vice chair.
I move we confirm.
All right, we have a motion, Mayor Pro Tem Mahaffey.
Second.
All right, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and the last one is to confirm the vice chair appointment for the planning board. The recommendation is for Jeff Hastings to serve as vice chair for calendar year 2026.
Motion to approve.
Motion Zigerman.
Second.
Second Mahaffey. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
That concludes my update.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, we'll move now to a public forum. This is an opportunity for community members to speak. We're listening, and all we ask is that you remember the time that is allowed. If you're speaking along 3 minutes, at the 45-second mark, you will see the yellow light, so just please pay attention to that. And then at the red light, the buzzer, I will have to cut you off for the next speaker. Looks like we have a full sheet here, so we'll go ahead and move on it. So we'll start with Melissa Ripper, and when you do come up, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you. 3 minutes, Mr. Clerk.
Right. Good evening, Council. My name is Melissa Ripper, and I live at 3418 Jordan Shires Drive in Jordan Point, New Hill. You have heard my husband come up and speak a few times over the last few months. These are my daughters, Abby and Zoe. Oh. I apologize. We all have certain days in our lives that stand out. For example, I can remember where I was in junior high when the space shuttle crashed. Or I can remember where I was with a 1-month-old on 9/11. But that's national level, and I want to talk about town level. On October 5th, 2006, I was in my home sleeping. My 5-year-old autistic daughter was in her bed, my husband at work at the Raleigh Fire Department. My next door neighbor worked for the town of Holly Springs and called to let me know that a hazardous fire in Apex had happened and I needed to turn off my HVAC and make sure that my windows were shut. At 10 p.m. earlier that night, explosions had erupted near downtown Apex at the EQ hazardous waste plant. 2006, I lived in Scotts Mill, one of the furthest neighborhoods at the time Apex had. Today, I live in Jordan Point, currently one of the furthest neighborhoods in Apex that New Hill has. Over 30,000 residents were residing here in 2006, and over half the residents in Apex had to evacuate. I looked it up, and FEMA had noted that that was the biggest evacuation at the time they had ever done. I specifically remember a nursing home nearby that had to be completely evacuated. We were the lucky ones the next day. We didn't need to evacuate, being one of the outskirts. My kindergartner school, Olive Chapel Elementary, was closed on 10/6 due to the fumes. Though our neighborhood was spared, many of us took in friends, family, and that couldn't go home yet. Everything was closed in town. We went to Crabtree Valley Mall and we walked around for hours. EQ was destroyed. Significant regulatory changes were made. The townspeople had lasting anxiety despite environmental testing, and zoning changes were made. What's the point of the story I'm sharing? The 2035 plan considered the Goodwin property for light industrial development. This was before allowing many new subdivisions within mile radius of the proposed data center. Consider the catastrophe you'd have on your hands if a proposed data center was there. Not just the water testing, air quality, and the soil pollution it can cause, but to have that type of fire my husband has spoken to you about a few times now with the lithium batteries. To support a data center while the backup generators, add that with being next door to a nuclear reactor, you would have to mandate evacuation for even more people than 2006. Apex now has at least 85,000 people in it. A fire like this would potentially cause a shelter in place, a thermal runway of an uncontrolled chain reaction unlike anything you've seen in the movies, explosions, intense heat, toxic gases, radioactive releases.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right. All right, Dr. Michelle Hoffner O'Connor.
I want you all to know that the periodontist did this to me. All right, Michelle Hoffner O'Connor, 2664 Jordan Point Boulevard. Good evening. At the sound meeting at New Hill Community Center on November 12th, I asked sound engineer Jeff what an acceptable DBC level was for the data center. He proceeded to simply say that no such standard was uncommon in regulations and moved on to another question. At the time, I already knew this answer to be false, as multiple counties in Virginia have already updated their ordinances to include DBC measurements. Jeff is supposed to be a subject matter expert in sound engineering, someone who can perform sound studies and is also knowledgeable about best practices. As he failed to convey these, I decided to look them up for myself. Here is what they say. The American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, otherwise known as ASHRAE, is widely considered the global technical authority for data center design, and gold standard for engineering states the following. A sound spectrum is spectrally balanced when the difference between the C-weighted level and A-weighted level is between 5 and 10 decibels. A difference exceeding 15 is classified as a rumble condition, which indicates excessive low-frequency noise that causes physical annoyance to residences. The International Organization Standard, otherwise known as ISO, agrees with ASHRAE, in which low-frequency noise is defined as a difference greater than 15 decibels between the C and A-weighted levels, that a 3 to 6 decibel penalty should be added to measure the noise to account for the constant tones heard by the human ear, and noise at night is significantly more impactful on people. The guidance is clear. The DBC should never be more than 15 decibels, dB greater than the DBA, with a 5 to 10 decibel range preferred to establish a balanced, neutral sound. And we all know that Jeff knows this standard. He's not an expert if he doesn't. The secrecy and semantics are to minimize the effort and cost required to mitigate the noise. Achieving such a stringent standard is possible, but requires much greater in-depth physics and extensive changes to the proposed building plan to achieve it. They assume that if they ignore the standard, as many developers and end users do, we'll never know better. And this begs the question, if they're misleading the town concerning the noise, what else are they misleading us about? Or just straight up lying about? The only vote our town should be willing to give a developer that will say whatever they want to get whatever they want is a vote of no confidence. Such deception is a contradiction to being a good neighbor or thoughtful planning or whatever else the Natellys claim when they talk about their extensive building experience. So just to briefly conclude, the town of Apex should not consider any recommendations from the developer when you all meet for the working session on January 22nd or at any other point. And you should move forward with imposing restrictions that prioritize and protect your constituency. Because there are not 3, but 4 kinds of lies. Lies, damned lies, statistics, and things Michael Natelli and his team say. And none of these things are acceptable for our town.
All right, Lorraine McAvoy Moore. Okay. Hope I got that right. Okay, all right.
Most people say no. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Lorraine McAvoy, and I live at 1801 New Elm Church Road in New Hill. You may not recognize it as an Apex address because it's not. I'm in Chatham, but I'm still a New Hill resident. In the coming weeks, the developer for the data center will stand in front of you and show you a picture of 4 buildings nestled amongst the trees. What that image won't show is what the site will actually contain. It will not show the 83 megawatt generators, each with its own 1,000 gallon diesel tank located across this campus. It will not show you the extensive mechanical equipment on the rooftops consuming up to 1 million gallons of water per day. It will not show you the uninterruptible power sources and the thousands of lithium-ion batteries required to keep the servers online during power outages. It will not show you the swath of trees cleared for the transmission towers needed to meet the facility's power demands, and it will not show the thousands of gallons of chemicals for water treatment that will be stored on site. This facility will contain approximately 80,000 gallons of diesel fuel within its perimeter, the equivalent of 8 standard gas stations. These generators will routinely be batch tested monthly, discharging diesel exhaust into the air. While the developer states these generators will meet the requirements for Tier 4 exhaust, the most stringent tier possible, generators of this size will still emit exhaust particulates into the atmosphere. Diesel exhaust is a recognized carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Lung cancer is the primary risk, and diesel exhaust also worsens asthma and other respiratory conditions. Thousands of households lie downwind of the site and will be exposed during routine monthly testing and during power outages. Generators for critical facilities are tested monthly. Most manufacturers recommend a minimum of 30 minutes of operation for each for proper testing. Due to the quantity of generators, this facility will more than likely utilize batch testing, where a certain number of generators are tested on a rotating basis. Given 4 buildings, I would assume around 20 generators tested at a time, in all 80 to be tested each month. This data center should not be approved in the area it is proposed for. It is too close to residential communities, will store large quantities of diesel fuel and other chemicals, will emit ongoing exhaust, and will consume extraordinary amounts of water. I urge you to look past the pretty renderings and truly visualize what this site will physically contain. And ask yourselves whether this aligns with Apex's identity as the pink of good living. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Bill Dance.
Hi, I'm Bill Dam. I live at 2556 Fico Grant Drive. Our area and Big Tech continue to experience explosive growth. So we hope as you evaluate the hyperscale data center application, you'll consider the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, known as a SWOT analysis. My environmental science career includes working on nuclear sites, so I'm not surprised that the artificial intelligence is being compared to the Manhattan Project, made famous in the Oppenheimer movie, showing the rush to build and use atomic weapons. I have a neighbor in Jordan Manors who grew up downwind from above-ground nuclear testing. He told me that many of his classmates contracted and died from leukemia, attributable to atomic testing. There will also be fallout from AI. So, do you want us all to be living in ground zero? Weapons and machines don't love us, but we love getting to know our neighbors. Not only is the arms race similar, but consider the ransomware cyber attack on the town of Apex utility, causing building problems which must have gone through an existing data center. Have you heard about new vulnerabilities like AI, zero-click bots? Who loves deepfake videos, junk email, text, boom and bust cycles, and the Merriam-Webster 2025 Word of the Year, SLOP, defined as low-quality, mass-produced digital content? Tragically, many people, including a 16-year-old boy from Southern California, committed suicide with the help and encouragement of an AI chatbot. OpenAI released data in late 2025 indicating that more than 1 million people a week discuss suicide with ChatGPT. Proposed AI data centers with enormous appetites are proliferating around the country, including here in Apex, which in my opinion as a non-lawyer, violate the National Environmental Policy Act. Building an AI data center is it worth trading our precious resources, including air, energy, money, soil, and water? We trust you as the town council will abide by moral laws, including the principle of love thy neighbor. And I appreciate, Mayor, your invocation prayer today. We look to the board to protect our families, neighbors, and health and safety of our community. We love our children and grandchildren, and they should not have to breathe pollution from diesel generators or burning fossil fuels, which increase risk of asthma and cancer. Our pets and wildlife should not be subjected to harmful environment, including noise 24/7, but the developer's consultant is only looking at noise that affects less sensitive human hearing. We care for our landscaping, but droughts and data centers could kill our vegetation and create heat islands with local centers.
Thank you so much for speaking.
Okay.
Rosemary Dawes. Rosemary Dawes.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary Sanotsky Dawes, and I live at 5128 Beckwick Drive in Fuquay Varina. And my message is why you should vote no to the proposed data centers. The explosive growth we've experienced has been promoted by local municipalities and demonstrates very poor stewardship. This monstrous development has strained all of our resources and especially our patience. Fuquay Varina is now requesting transfer of water, our most essential finite resource, from the Cape Fear River, the same Cape Fear River that will be the recipient of this data center's effluent runoff, gifting us and downstream communities toxic forever chemicals. The plan is for North Carolina to become the next data center alley like Northern Virginia. Everyone will be downstream of a data center, and we will eventually run out of clean water. You have been presented with evidence and concerns about the adverse effects of these massive data centers. The only beneficiaries are multi-trillion-dollar end users, developers, and morally corrupt politicians like our state legislators who passed data center operational energy costs onto residents. We don't need peer-reviewed literature to know this would be disastrous. We have common sense and reports from victims residing near data centers nationwide. We are learning from and trying to avoid their misery. We are frustrated by the unacceptable and suspicious lack of transparency. Public officials signing potentially unlawful non-disclosure agreements with developers, secret negotiations, no independent cost-benefit analyses, environmental or health impact studies, and developers assisting with amendments to the UDOs, the Fox Hen House. Projects of this magnitude should be put on ballots. You may wonder why a Fuquay resident cares about events in New Hill. Because just this data center alone will impact all of Wake County and surrounding counties in ways that have not been considered till it's too late. We are fighting this because we don't want our children's and grandchildren's neighborhoods to become wastelands. Finally and importantly, a yes vote would violate the oath of office you swore or affirmed. You've been entrusted to protect our rights and liberties under the North Carolina and U.S. Constitutions. Thank you for your attention. God bless.
Brian Rosenthal? Brian? Here, okay. Glenn Rennie? Ma'am, please, thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Glenn Rennie, 3537 Jordan Shires Drive, a resident of Apex for 28 years. Large tech firms are spending huge amounts of money on the AI race. For example, Meta, the owner of Facebook, plans to spend $600 billion. That's 40% of their market capitalization on AI. Yet many of these tech CEOs have warned that there are risks associated with such large investments. How can Meta gamble such a large portion of their total valuation? Massive data centers require enormous capital investments that carry levels of risk that these firms cannot absorb. So Meta, Microsoft, and others have created special purpose vehicles to finance the new data centers. The investment risk is thus offloaded to these SPVs. These independent companies raise money by selling bonds to insurers, and pension funds, and investment advisors. This capital is then used to build the data center, often by another company, and to buy servers by a leasing company. The data center operators, called neoclouds, then rent those servers from the leasing company and sell computer time back to the AI firms. In this way, the big tech firms have no new debt on their balance sheets, and they only pay for the computer time that they actually use. Likewise, a data center operator pays no property taxes on the rented computers because they don't own them. The owners of the servers can be in offshore tax havens. So what does this mean for Apex? This web of companies and LLCs, both foreign and domestic, is designed to shield assets from taxation and liability. Ordinance and code violation penalties can be nearly impossible to assess. Referring to property taxes, one advisor's website advertises that creative application of asset shielding can optimize property taxes. These legally questionable techniques have optimized property taxes at one data center by 83%. Finally, if the AI boom goes bust, there are no deep pockets from which Apex can extract compensation for the costs of decommissioning the data center. These LLCs only have enough money to pay their annual filing fees. And most of them will be offshore. Thus, the risks of AI have been offloaded to the community. If the owners of the data center and its servers are not local and do not have deep pockets, then Apex needs to protect itself by requiring a bond or some other upfront payment. I've provided the town clerk a list of references, and I urge you to take a look at some of these. They will shock you. Thank you very much for your time.
Raul Cozzolino.
Dawn Cozzolino, 3632 Bosco Road. Good evening. I am here to speak for my neighbors of Wake County, not for the developers, not for the staff, and not for decisions already settled before the meeting began, because this is a public forum and it's supposed to matter. Eminent domain is one of the most extreme powers government holds, and in North Carolina, it is strictly limited to purposes like improving roads, utilities, and public services outlined in Chapter 40A. It is meant only for true public use, not to enable private development for profit. One project here, one project there. While they may appear disconnected, together they form a troubling pattern. Sewer lines over well and septic properties, massive infrastructure funded by the town for private developers, and projects like the New Hill Data Center. The result is a cumulative harm, more traffic, more accidents, constant construction noise, environmental strain. I can go on and on and on. But the community is degraded for private profit. This is not planning. This is government by proxy. Public power used for private gain without public consent. Think carefully. Our community loses its private treasure to eminent domain, and ironically, even sadly, we foot the bill to acquire it. We foot the bill to build the infrastructure and maintain it. Then Apex hands it off to developers who profit and leave us with a mess. This is no public benefit. And the connection is clear. The Big Branch pump station of Forest, Maine, were forced through rural well and septic properties, not even under Apex jurisdiction, not to serve the public, but to enable private development. That sewer drives upzoning for industrial projects and ultimately this New Hill Data Center. The infrastructure exists on paper, but the area cannot absorb the scale of development. Roads, water, and neighborhoods are being stressed to the breaking point. And it does get worse. Regulators like NCDQ and the Environmental Management Commission, EMC, whose job is it to ensure water and capacity exists before permitting, have allowed approvals of the Big Branch, even when water is constrained. Jordan Lake only has 8.8% left unallocated, and the Army Corps of Engineers is strictly limiting any water when there is a drought. So approving growth without water is not a paperwork error, it is a systemic failure, and the damage cannot be undone after construction starts. I would like to end with a note that the Constitution is very clear that all political power is vested in the people, and the government exists for the good of the people. Thank you very much.
Hello, Fran Hudson, 5524 Rex Road. I want to start with the newly elected members. You were elected by about 10% of the people. So the voters that came out and actually voted is about 10% of the people of Apex. You're supposed to represent everyone, though. It's not just those 8,500. So even though whatever you ran on and whatever you said, those people aligned with, it does not negate the fact that you have to represent all the people and you have to know what all the people want. Ed, you said you were talking about policy. So the UDO is actually law, it's not policy. So the developers should never have any input into law. That's the town law. The ordinance has to be written by the town. It is not written and proposed by developers and then the town take that in and incorporate that into their own law. I sent an email to all of you, including the county commissioners, the governor, the AG, all of the people involved, just to let everyone know, to make sure that it was transparent, that when they say a 300 megawatt data center, what does that actually mean? Because that was confusing to me when I started researching it. And 300 megawatt data center multiplied by 8,760 hours a year is 2,628,000 megawatt hours per year. Just for example, the town of Cary uses 2,000,000
127,894 megawatt hours per year. So you would be putting, if this was put through and y'all voted to approve this data center, it would be more than the entire town of Cary residents and businesses' power usage for the year on 189 acres. Like, that is, if you don't expect a major sound problem, I don't know how you could have all that power going through all that equipment and us not hear it. So y'all really need to take into account the impact that's going to have. A UDO should be written as the overarching, everything that could be in that area. It needs to be very well thought out, and I would think you should take time to do that. There should be no decision, no anything until it is vetted out that you have a set plan for what is appropriate in Apex and the surrounding area that this is going to impact. They are also, I did mention that North Carolina buys 3/4 of the power that we use, we consume. We do not produce enough power. We actually buy most of it. Well, there's a whole bunch more, but I'll wait till next time.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Janina Tolley. Janina Tolley.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Janina Toji, 113 Lake Meadow Drive, Apex. I would like to say, stop the wide sidewalk on Tunstall Avenue and Center Street. I'm a resident of Lake Meadow Drive, and my backyard is on Tunstall, abuts to Center Street and 1010 Road. Now there is a proposal to add a wide sidewalk to Tunstall and Center Street, an expense that is not necessary and very expensive, also threatens more healthy trees. We have several large trees in our backyard, fauna, as well as creating an untenable parking situation for our neighbors' Christian Home Church in Apex, who are right across Center Street from us. This is a point of safe routes to school, and they plan to put in a 5-foot sidewalk. The proposed plan would take 20 feet from my property, including the 5-foot sidewalk. This would probably kill most of our large trees, as well as if it is designed on the current design. I rely on this for a buffer and the street to support wildlife. It is a misconception that ADA sidewalks have to be 5 foot wide. In some sections, it can be a minimum of 3 feet, according to accommodate the trees and the roots. This is known as a meandering sidewalk design, and right now they just have a straight 5-foot sidewalk that cuts through everything. Also, we did a survey on 2 days to see how many students actually use this route, and my husband, as well as the reverend of the church, saw 2 people in the morning and 2 people in the evening. Students generally take Culvert Street to Ellington to the school instead of Center to Ellington. In my humble opinion, this is a waste of money, especially if it is not done with environmentally friendly resources and design. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lisa Osmond.
Hisham Osman, 3181 Mantle Ridge in Apex. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, council members, and town staff. I come this evening to speak on 2 topics. The first one is related to the approval of the Salem Streetscaping project at the last town council work session in December, which came in $2 million higher than the original plans. While I believe it is an important project and provides a lot of benefits to the downtown community and to Apex overall, what other projects will be delayed or scaled back to make up for that $2 million cost overrun projection? What other budget items will be cut or eliminated to offset that increase in this year's budget? And kind of moving into, as we kick off the budget process for next year, in the next few weeks and months, does this council commit to a fiscally responsible budget without any tax increases for next year? It's simply not, the goal should simply be no tax increases, not a comparison to other towns and proclaiming we had the lowest tax increase compared to other towns nearby. I think we need to look at, this council talks a lot about affordable housing in this community, and a key part of the cost of living in our community is taxes. I urge this council to rein in spending to allow for no tax increases next year. The second topic I'd like to briefly talk about is our town governance structure. As our community has experienced tremendous growth over the years, with our population reaching over 85,000 residents already, and with all the new housing units that have already been approved coming online in the next years, our population will approach over 100,000 residents shortly, something we should be and can be proud of. However, there are parts of our community that don't have the equal voice and equal representation on this council. I urge this council to look at a district or ward setup like other large towns have done in Wake County and in North Carolina. This setup would allow for all parts of our different and vibrant community to be heard and hear their specific concerns, whether that be Salem Street community, downtown, Bella Casa, or the incorporated areas of New Hill and Friendship. I think by having dedicated districts and wards and even council members at large, that would allow for a better overall representation of our community, and this will continue to ensure that Apex is the peak of good living. Thank you.
Christine Campbell. Christine Campbell.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council members. My name is Christine Campbell. I live at 3717 Jordan Shires Drive. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the data center. I was pleased, Mr. Manager, tonight to hear that you guys are planning that working session and not giving time and credence to the developer to come and solicit their agenda and their objectives. Those of us that have been volunteering our time and our energies with the Protect Wake County Coalition have worked very hard. We have sought the volunteer expertise and subject matter expertise from several of our community members, including Michelle O'Connor, Glenn, Bill, my husband Patrick, who's an electrical engineer, Ralph Ripper, and I could go on and on. There are many, many people who have contributed to these efforts. What I'm going to just kind of highlight tonight is that we are prepared to share both with the town council, the planning staff for the town planning board, is a set of recommendations in the wish list that Patrick has talked about at some previous meetings. We've settled on approximately 20 items to include defining what a data center should be, making sure that that definition is built based upon the research that our planning staff has done. We have pulled and cited examples of what other communities have done and included that in this document to try and highlight the idea that we should build to best practices. If we want to be the peak of good living, then let us be a part of defining the terms of what can come here and how and why. And when we take control of that decision, we have a chance to keep our say and keep our community as great as it can be. We're addressing not only what we think should be included, but also some things to help protect the community around us, the green spaces around us, and other areas of great concern, which we have heard a lot about. And I don't want to go too much further because I know the agenda is very long tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking. All right, final speaker tonight is Barbara Collins. Ms. Collins. Take your time. It's all right.
All
So I'm Barbara Collins. Most of you know me, Barbara Collins at 901 Norwood Lane, Apex. I've lived here for 28 years in the same house. Look at that. We love it here. What's not to love? I don't need 3 minutes. I don't need notes. All of you already know everything you need to know to vote no on the data center. You have every bit of information. If you don't have some information, we'll provide it to you. Well, they will, right? They will. Yep. So, because I'm not having to look up every statistic. I've already been through this in upstate New York. Not a data center, a corporation that polluted the groundwater without ever reporting it to the EPA. So 5 years we spent on that project. And we won in the end because everybody knows what the right thing is to do. I know it, and so do you. You're teaching your children to be environmentalists. You're calling yourself environmentalists. I'm calling myself an environmentalist. And that's how you should vote. Because you're individuals who've come together, but I promise you, this will follow you. I will be sure it follows you for the rest of your career. And someday, somebody else is going to be standing up here, and it's going to be a new council. And you know what they're going to say if it gets approved? They're going to say, well, it was a different council. You know, they said yes. What can we do about it now? Yeah, it's happening 7 years after y'all left, right? But this is, I've heard y'all say it. So another council is the one that voted on this. Well, you're the council that's going to vote on this, and I don't expect you want to ruin your reputation. You don't want your children to know that you taught them to be environmentalists and then you voted against the environment. Please don't do that. That's it. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our public forum time. Again, thank you to all of you who came out tonight to support, to speak. I think it's important that we hear your voice. We're going to transition now to presentations. You're welcome to stick around and enjoy the presentations. Otherwise, I'll give you time to exit so we can respect. One more hug, right? Okay, one more. All right. Good to see you. Oh, one more. Thank you so much.
I was like, not the fact that she came up to give a hug. Again, that's awesome. Three hugs. A little jealous, not gonna lie. Okay, no, I get it.
I was, it was Al's Burgers. She walked in and did that to me. Thank you, everyone. We'll go ahead and bring it back to order. We're going to go ahead and move into the proclamations tonight. We have two, and we're going to start with the first proclamation tonight. Is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we'll have council members to join me out front, and we'll share in the reading of the proclamations. All right, as mentioned, we have Human Trafficking Prevention Month 2026, and starting with the reading tonight will be Mayor Pro Tem Mahaffey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Human Trafficking Prevention Month 2026. Whereas human trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining a person through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of forced labor or commercial sex, and
whereas in 2024, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received reports of 301 confirmed cases of human trafficking in North Carolina, the 9th most of any state in the country. And
whereas in 2024, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children Cyber Tipline received 20.5 million reports related to 29 million incidents of suspected child exploitation. And
whereas victims of human trafficking often go undetected and unserved, and survivors require significant resources to work through the trauma these horrific experiences leave them with. And
whereas the town of Apex maintains its firm commitment to ending the criminal enterprise of human trafficking by lending its support to organizations that do the invaluable work to bring us closer to a world without this evil.
Now therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of Apex, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2026 Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the town of Apex, and encourage residents to join SHIELD North Carolina in taking up their shield by empowering themselves with knowledge, eliminating the human trafficking industry, and advocating for change. Signed this 13th day of January. And I would like to call up Nikki Miller, Lynn Scott, Jenny Kowaleski, and then Michelle Stewart. If you would please come up and accept the proclamation. All right, we're going to take a nice photo together. Okay. All right. Town, thank you so much for your work. I know it's been over a decade. You guys have really been working on this, and you've made a lot of impact. So I know we did Water Tower Blue for Sunday.
I appreciate that.
So absolutely. So we want to give you an opportunity to present to the community tonight. You have a few words.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so
There
much.
go. Absolutely.
Yes, we very much appreciate you guys lighting the water tower on Sunday. That was a big surprise, and very much appreciated. So thank you so much. And my name is Jenny Kowaleski. I'm an Apex resident, and I'm the current board president of SHIELD North Carolina. We're a local nonprofit that helps fight against human trafficking. And thank you, Mayor and council members, for recognizing January as a Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and for allowing me to speak for these couple moments. We're very grateful to the town of Apex for this proclamation and your commitment to protecting our community. Whenever we speak publicly, we just like to quickly address some of the most common myths about human trafficking. Because movies and television, many people believe trafficking usually involves a stranger abduction, someone off the street, the scary white van. In reality, that accounts for only a small percentage of cases in the United States. In more than 90% of situations, victims are exploited by someone they know and someone they trust. This matters because when we expect trafficking to look like stranger abduction, again, the scary white van, we miss the vast majority of cases, and this is how trafficking can happen right in front of us without being recognized. In fact, over 40% of cases in the United States the trafficker is a family member. Mom, uncle, cousin, brother. Someone in their close circle. Another common myth is that human trafficking only happens overseas. Unfortunately, the United States is one of the worst countries in the world for human trafficking, largely due to the demand, because of the large amount of buyers we have in the United States. North Carolina, as was mentioned, constantly ranks in the top 10 states of reported trafficking cases and is currently ranked 9th. So yes, human trafficking is here. We invite you and the community to learn more about what trafficking actually looks like and what you can do if you see the red flags. SHIELD North Carolina hosts a virtual human trafficking 101 training every month. You can find more information and sign up on our website at shieldnc.org. And please also consider following SHIELD North Carolina on social media. We have Facebook and Instagram, and you can keep up with our efforts around town and help to support in any way if you feel led. Thank you again for your time and for standing with us on this important work. And year after year, you guys stand with us. So thank you.
We'll continue to stand with you, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, our final proclamation tonight is Martin Luther King Jr. Commemoration Weekend 2026, and we will start off tonight. Councilmember Gray. Thank you, sir.
Going to go a little off script because it's important that we recognize that we're going to continue to do this, and it's most important that we recognize the work of this pioneer in days like this. Proclamation, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 2026. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to being a champion for civil rights and for fighting injustice through strong collaboration, tireless leadership, and nonviolent protest. And
whereas Dr. King's life and legacy created a shining example of perseverance, hope, and compassion in the face of an onslaught of hatred and bigotry, and proved that love always triumphs over hate. And
whereas the town of Apex is proud to host numerous events throughout the weekend leading up to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, including a Black Authors exhibit and creative contest presentation, the MLK Unity March and the MLK Workshop Service and the National Day of Service. And
whereas this commemorative weekend seeks to bring together our community to honor Dr. King and reaffirm our shared commitments to ensuring liberty and justice for all people in our town and our country. And
whereas the town of Apex remains steadfast in its commitment to being a town that welcomes and embraces all people, no matter what our differences may be.
Now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of Apex, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 19th, 2026, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the town of Apex. There you go. I got more. Hold up. I just wanted y'all to applaud that. That's a big deal. And invite our community to dream, as Dr. King did, of a world without prejudice and hate, and take steps in helping make that a reality. Signed on this 13th day of January 2026. So now I would like to invite all of you up. I know we have here on the notes Tammy Johnson, Kelvin Thomas, Orvina Bain, Larry Kopitz, and of course we have the Deltas, AKA. Please come up and accept the proclamation tonight. Come on up. Okay. Oh, you're next. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do it. Yeah, everybody to go back, yeah. Since we got so many, they're gonna go. We're gonna go in the back. Yeah, so bring y'all. All right, I'm gonna get in the middle here. And, go just like that right there. There it is. You want that microphone down? It's okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Good catch. Yes, sir. It's been a while. Just last year. Everybody right here. Oh, 1 second. You do one last one we're ready. All right. Just we do have representatives from Apex First Baptist Social Justice Committee. Did you want to say some words tonight, or anybody want to speak? We look forward to this weekend, and if you would.
Okay, no speak.
Just a few words. I didn't really prepare anything, but on behalf of Tayon Dancy, she was a strong community support person here, and it was her brainchild idea for us to recognize Martin Luther King Jr. He is a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and we celebrate all the work that he's done. We celebrate the work that she did. The committee has been doing this since the fall of 2020. In the midst of COVID, we had to do it virtually to begin with. And to see the number of organizations that participate now, to see the number of groups that turn out for the march, for the Friday night event. This year we have over 10 authors, which is a record number. We have over 40 students in the community that submitted essays to participate in the contest. So we just want to recognize you, Apex, for your contributions, and you, Mayor, and the Town Council for your support. I mean, it's been awesome to see how it has grown over the years, and we couldn't have done it without you. So we thank you. So on behalf of Tayon Dancy and the committee, thank you, Town of Apex.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I want to thank the council members for joining me in the reading of the proclamation. So thank you all for being here. You can leave if you want to, or you can hang around and enjoy the rest of the meeting. But we're going to transition into public hearings. And we'll move into public hearing 1, annexation number 798, 2224 New Hill Olive Chapel Road, presented tonight by June Cowles.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is annexation 798 and 25 CZ 13, 2224 New Hill Olive Chapel Road. The project is located in the southwest area of the town, and the annexation is for 4.8 acres. So the site has one residential house and mature trees. And the zoning district is Wake County Residential 80W and 40W. The proposed is low density residential conditional zoning. And the 2045 land use map is low density residential. So the Wake County Schools indicates the schools at the elementary, middle, and high school grade levels within the current assignment area are anticipated to have an insufficient capacity for future students, school expansion or construction within the next 5 years, is not anticipated to address the concerns. Neighborhood meetings for this rezoning were conducted on August 12th and November 6th, 2025, and they're included in your packet. The applicant is requesting the proposed rezoning to connect to town services due to a well failure. So they're not proposing any new development at this time, but they did include some zoning conditions for the uses: accessory apartment, single family, botanical garden. And the use conditions, the property shall be served by one driveway from New Hill Olive Chapel Road. The front yard setback from New Hill Olive Chapel Road shall be a minimum of 60 feet from the right-of-way as of the date of this rezoning. Future development shall include right-of-way dedication consistent with the Apex Transportation Plan, and any future development shall be limited to a maximum residential density of 2 dwelling units per acre. So due to the small area, the project was exempt from going to the Environmental Advisory Board and also affordable housing. And Planning Board recommended approval 8-0 with conditions offered by the applicant, and planning staff is also recommending approval with the conditions offered by the applicant. The proposed rezoning is to low-density residential conditional zoning is consistent with the low-density residential land use classification, and the proposed rezoning is reasonable and in the public interest because it will allow the existing single-family residential to be consistent with the surrounding area. In addition, the proposed rezoning will allow the property to connect to town water and sewer services. And with that, if you had any questions, and the applicant.
I had one question. I found the interesting, the conditions saying future development shall include right-of-way dedication consistent with the Apex Transportation Plan. To be interesting, because typically we try to get the dedication and the right-of-way at the time of the rezoning, but this condition says in the future we'll get it. So can you elaborate on that? Why did we not just get the dedication we needed now for, you know, the sidewalk and the expansion of Olive Chapel there?
They're not proposing any development at this time, so typically we would do that if, you know, a project was doing some development at that time.
Because they don't plan any development activity, we just, in the future if they do. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for this item right now. We do have 3 people signed up to speak. Austin Campbell would be the first speaker. Mr. Campbell. Okay. What about Tim Wong? All right, and Sariv Arnishalam. Okay, we'll close it. Back to council for discussion to a possible motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's with both?
For both, yes.
Okay, for the annexation and the rezoning.
And the annexation and the rezoning,
All right,
so
thank
public
you.
hearing 1 and 2.
All right, thank you, sir. So we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Gray. All right, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, public hearing 5.
Yeah, I move we continue
Oh,
public hearing
that's
3
right.
and 4 to February 24th.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you. Thank you for that catch. Appreciate you. All right, public hearing 5.
All right, good evening. So this annexation is for the Summit Apex on Hume Olive Road. It's a half an acre. Let me see, it's where the location is here on this map. And it is just a sliver. This was land that they needed to acquire in order for their driveway to be in the right location. And so it is part of the Summit project that's already been approved. And so they do need the annexation in order to combine it with the rest of their parcel. Staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions for Ms. Kent? All right, hearing none. All right, we'll open up the public hearing for this item. No one signed up to speak. Public hearing is closed for comment. back to council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Mahaffey.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Mood. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right. Public hearing 6, rezoning case 25 CZ 163521, Old US 1 Highway. Joshua Killian, thank you, sir. Appreciate you
Good
being here.
evening. How is everyone doing this afternoon,
All right.
this evening? All right, Joshua Killian here to present rezoning case 25 CZ 163521, Old US Highway. This rezoning is located in the New Hill community of Apex. This rezoning is only effective for 0.53 acres of the full parcel. So previously there was a rezoning that changed this to neighborhood business conditional zoning, and the other half of the parcel that has the residential home has a residential zoning. We're only talking about the formerly commercial zoning district being changed here in this rezoning case. So as stated, the subject of this rezoning is currently neighborhood commercial conditional zoning, whereas the remainder of the parcel is low-density conditional zoning. The land to the south is zoned Wake County R30. To the west is neighborhood commercial conditional zoning. And to the north across Old US 1 is Wake County Highway commercial zoning. The applicant is proposing to rezone this parcel to planned commercial conditional zoning for the purposes of operating a vehicle dealer's office. The applicant has offered conditions to limit the extent of the intended primary use being vehicle sales and rental light. The applicant held neighborhood meetings on September 3rd and November 13th of 2025, and those reports are in your agenda packet. This rezoning was exempt from meeting with the Environmental Advisory Board per the UDO. And since this does not include any residential, none of the residential requirements were applied for this as well. The 2045 land use map identifies this parcel as office employment and commercial services, and the proposed zoning district is consistent with that land use classification. Planning staff does recommend approval of rezoning case 25 CZ 16 with conditions as provided by the applicant. And Planning Board also held a public hearing on this item in December and unanimously recommended approval. This rezoning is reasonable and in the public interest, as the proposed zoning district and conditions allow the property to be used in a manner consistent with its original use and accommodate the growth in economy consistent with that contemplated by the 2045 land use map. Any questions for myself? And the applicant is here as well.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions for Mr. Killian? Hearing none, thank you. All right. We'll go ahead and open up public hearing for this item. No one signed up to speak for comments, so it is closed. Back to council for discussion. Lead to a possible motion. Sounds pretty clear cut.
Yeah, motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve, Mahaffey.
Second.
Second, Zigerman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right. Thank you. All right. Next item. Public hearing 7, UDO amendments.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's good to be before you today. Today we have one UDO amendment to propose to you. Just a reminder, this was continued from the November 13th and the December 9th meeting. It went through the process of receiving some feedback from local residents and made it better to bring it for you today. This amendment was requested by your Transportation Infrastructure and Development staff. It proposes amendments to sections in Chapter 7, Chapter 8, and Chapter 13. The goal for this is to clarify what a temporary turnaround is, and that we are hoping to permit these in connection with stub streets in the town. And it's to ensure that emergency and other town-related vehicles can safely and effectively maneuver throughout a subdivision, and to provide guidance for their eventual removal as stub streets are connected to future development on adjacent properties and temporary turnarounds are no longer required. The first section that's being added is a new section under design standards and streets in Chapter 7 for temporary turnarounds. Essentially, the first section says that a temporary turnaround shall be provided at the terminus of any stub street exceeding 150 feet in length. The temporary turnaround shall be constructed within a temporary public access easement or within the public right-of-way and shall comply with all the applicable standards, including that of the Town of Apex's standard specifications and standard details. Some additional standards below. Number 1, for applicability, the provision of the subsection shall apply only to temporary turnarounds approved after January 27, 2026. So meaning any temporary, any substreets right now that are already developed and constructed will be kind of grandfathered in at this point. Number 2, easement and design. As previously stated, these will be required to be within temporary public access easements and will have to apply with all the standards for those temporary public access easements, which we'll get to later on. Number 3, there will be a fee in lieu associated with this. The fee in lieu will be pursuant to the section in Chapter 7 for stub street fee in lieu. It'll follow the same process, and the goal for that is required. So for future conversion or removal of the temporary turnaround prior to master subdivision, final plat, or site plan approval will be submitted and provided. Number 4, speaking to removal and restoration, the developer of the adjacent property to where the stub street currently exists and temporary turnaround will be present. Will have to make the street connection when they come in for development to the existing street stub and will be responsible for the removal of the temporary turnaround, restoration of the affected area. That includes landscaping, street sections, typical crossway sections, sidewalks, and utilities that might be present. So they'll be required to bring all that up back to the time of the approval. There will be use limitations on the site for the temporary turnaround. It shall not be used for parking and or driveways. There will be signage. When there's a temporary turnaround provided, a clearly visible street sign per the town code shall be erected at the end of the street sub stating that this street is planned for connection to a future street. There's size and dimension requirements. The temporary turnaround shall comply with all size and dimensional requirements set forth in the town's standard specifications and standard details. Platting. Anytime there's a plat containing a street stub moving forward, it shall include the following note: that the street system shown on this plat includes one or more street stubs that are intended to connect to adjacent property. And when such property is developed, these connections are required to promote the safe, efficient flow and distribution of traffic and to provide additional points of access for emergency vehicles. Number 9, materials. These turnarounds shall be built to, again, town standards that can be found in the town of Apex's standard specifications and standard details. Additionally, the next section to be amended today, or proposed for amendment today, is under Chapter 7, Design Standards. This is here where we're creating the temporary public access easement and the language associated with it. Here, again, it'll be created at the edge of a development and creates where there's a stub street. The temporary public access easement shall be of sufficient size to allow for necessary construction, future conversion of the roadway, and any slope easements, construction easements, and or right-of-way dedication needed to construct future roadways connections shall be dedicated. The temporary public access easement shall follow one of the following standard or methods. Number 1, if the adjacent land is owned by the subdivider, a temporary turnaround can be provided with a temporary public access easement on such adjacent land. The temporary turnaround shall meet all the standards for the previously mentioned section for temporary turnarounds. Number 2, the subdivider may provide the required turnaround on one of the last lots or common area nearest to the adjacent land and fronting on the temporary stub street through the use of a temporary public access easement dedicated to the town. The temporary turnaround shall meet the standards as the previously mentioned section for temporary turnarounds. Additionally, some language has been added to Chapter 8 under general buffering requirements. Number 4, we added public access easements, allowing the encroachment into public access easements into buffers to create these temporary turnarounds. Again, so there's just 2 sections here, whereas we stated that. And then we've added a definition to the UDO as well: a temporary turnaround area constructed in accordance with the town of Apex's standard specifications and standard details located within temporary public access easement or public right-of-way at the terminus of a street that is planned for future extension. This before you now is for reference only. It is possible what a future detail might look like for a temporary turnaround. I'll just use the mouse here to highlight some areas. You can see on this detail, there's 2 different configurations you might see. There's a little dash for the temporary public access easement, what that might look like. It shows where this might intersect with perimeter buffers, and then how it looks along the right-of-way. Again, this is something that will come before you at a different time for your approval, but this is just for reference. You can have an idea of what it looks like. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or we have a member from transportation infrastructure staff as well.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Appreciate the presentation. Questions?
I do have a question. Mr. Venable, the length of 150 feet, how is that determined?
It's to be compliant with NC Fire Code. Okay. That's the exact requirement.
Okay. So I can think of several scenarios where there would not be any residences or driveways coming into a street stub like that. You know, if the developer is just extending to a future neighboring property, right, without there actual being housing lots in that area, why would we still require at that point the turnaround, even if there's no utility services or public services anticipated to access that part of the road?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we had a lot of internal conversation. There's you know, whether or not there's utility services, or sometimes people even brought up whether or not there's even a vertical structure that would need to be serviced in the area. What would require that? We talked about it at length, and the fire code doesn't offer any such distinguishations. So it's really, if it's the length of there and there needs to be access for emergency services to maneuver in and out of there, that was the requirement.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Right, so we had an extended discussion about this last year, when it was in October, maybe November. The previous council and what was in the planning committee. And there are a couple points of contention. I see one of them had to do with how to address removal. And I saw that this has been updated to include the fee in lieu proposal we kind of talked about. The other one's still in here relating to encroachment into the buffers, so section 826. I objected at the time of having these public access, the turnaround encroaching into the buffer. I'm concerned about the impact on the potential neighbors. You know, this document, this amendment addresses cases in another part where, you know, if they own it, you can put it on their property and that's fine, but sometimes they don't own it and there might be a house there. And I'm uncomfortable with signing off on a complete encroachment into our buffers across the board. I'd prefer to look at it a case-by-case basis, and maybe, you know, if the current arrangement of housing on the adjacent lot is, you know, amenable to having an encroachment there, maybe we could do it, but I'm still uncomfortable with the idea of having, what's in 8.26, of having just it being allowed to encroach on buffers across the board. So my position hasn't really changed. I'm just curious whether there are any discussions about that, because you're bringing it forward still with this proposal. And I should mention that the other Councilmember Gant, we kind of split on this point and didn't really resolve it in the committee. So that's where we're at for my colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
And I'll, just to speak on the Amendment 1, Paragraph 8 of 7.2.1, I really appreciate, and I know we've discussed this before, but I think that provision is a key thing to make sure that it will help us as a council alleviate some of the questions that typically come up when we have folks who have these stub streets and they're asking the question of, or under the impression that it's not really a stub street, it's a cul-de-sac, and they can treat it as such. And I understand my colleague's concern with regard to the idea of just kind of, I don't think it's necessarily a ceding of our buffer and of our right of way. I can see how you get there, but I don't think that we're necessarily conceding that the ability to make those modifications in the future. I still think a case-by-case analysis will ultimately still get us to the same place. So,
Thank you for those. Any other?
So I think Mayor Pro Tem Mahaffey asked a question, and I don't think that we've gotten a response to. So was the buffer requirement considered, you know, based on the feedback from the committee, and if so, like, why was it left in the way it is, right? Again, like with the committee council representation being split on the issue.
Absolutely. So the intent here was to provide not a full encroachment in some cases or situations where there would still be a plantable area. There was the contention there between the two council members of the planning committee. We proceeded with this, trying to find the best path forward by still having a plantable area there, and then also having the requirements to be that the area that will eventually have to go back to being buffer space would be replanted and reestablished. You know, I completely understand where Mr. Mahaffey's coming from, and you know, some people feel that you should not encroach into it whatsoever. It should be there, established perpetuity. But the reason we moved forward is we were hoping to find a balance there. Sounds like we may have hit it someplace, but maybe missed it a little bit. And having the fee in lieu, though, would help us ensure that those replacements are actually put in at the time that it's extended.
I think I share to some degree the concern, right? Because if you currently have a type A or type B buffer, you know, put a road there and then plant something back, then obviously it's never going to be the same type of buffer that was originally there, right? And so it looks like we're giving up about, like, you know, half or so of the buffer space. Is there any opportunity for a reconsideration there, or is it, you know, this is the final proposal, best and final?
This is what we're proposing to you today. If you'd like to send this back to us to come up with more ideas, we're open to that. This is what we are presenting today. But you know, you are the town council. If you would like us to explore this further, that is always an option you can direct us to do.
I'm fine with 99% of the proposal, and what I'd like to do is, you know, someone could offer approval, and I would like to offer an amendment to strike the section in 826. I guess my question is, from a technical perspective, do you consider the UDO amendment still complete if only the sections in 826 are struck, or does other wording need to be changed? I noticed that 724. I thought I saw somewhere else where it mentioned encroachment into a buffer that would be inconsistent if 826 were struck from the overall proposal.
Yeah.
There's removal restoration, item number 4.
Maybe not.
I mean, that provision in item number 4 would not be needed if we're not allowing encroachment on the buffer.
724.
721 subsection 2.
The removal and restoration section?
Correct.
There's still might be need for the restoration of the area itself outside of the buffer.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. Part of the intent here was, you know, with the temporary cul-de-sac that you kind of get now, there's like that excess kind of right of way that exists when you extend the street. So that part of this also in number 4 is to remove that as well.
Any other comments from council members or?
Yeah, I was going to ask if Manager Vosberg would weigh in.
We were just, Lori and I were chatting and speaking to timing with planning. I mean, if we want to make sure we're getting it right and not missing a reference, I hate to say it, but we could bring it back to the next meeting, but I don't know if there's anything timing significant that would impact.
It needs to be in 2 meetings. We're not going to have time to have it ready for the next meeting. The agendas are due Friday.
Is this going to impact any projects coming out?
Not that
No.
we're aware of.
So it's not time.
All right, so time isn't a problem.
So if council is clear and wants a change in what's been proposed, we can take that back and tweak it and see if there's anything else that we need to impact and then bring it back to council.
So I would move it's the position of the council that we don't want encroachment into our buffers of turnarounds.
I agree.
Okay.
Well, that's second.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and second. Any other discussion on this?
When do you want it to come back?
Yes.
It doesn't matter to us whenever you're ready.
As soon as possible, I would say.
February 10th?
That's fine.
February 10th.
All right, February 10th.
Well, I'll just say that I like it as is, but understanding that we're going to get it back again.
All right, we have the motion second, as presented by Mayor Pro Tem Haffey, second by Zigerman, right?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, 4-1. We'll bring it back then. All right, looking, yes, ma'am.
Could we also get a motion and vote to continue this matter until February 10th, please?
I'm sorry. Yep.
I move we continue the matter to February 10th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, all right.
Everybody second.
Everybody second.
Motion Mahaffey, second Gray. All in favor, say
Aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody's unanimous on that, so thank you. Okay, all right, we move now to closed session. And we have 3 items listed for closed session. Is there a motion to move into closed session for the items listed?
Motion to go into closed session for the items listed.
All right, motion.
Second.
Ray, second, Mahaffey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. Is there any other business expected to come back in here tonight from the closed session?
Possibly.
Possibly, okay. So we may come back here tonight for business.
You want to hang out and wait? Just kidding.
Sean A.
Hey, that's right.
I was driving through.
We're good? Okay, all right. All right, we're back in session. We do have one item to present, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I have, move approval of a resolution authorizing eminent domain proceedings related to an electric utility project along Hume Olive Road for the improvement of the Apex electric utility system.
A second.
All right, we have a second, Zigerman. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. All right. Is that the last item, Mr. Clerk? All right, thank you everyone for a productive meeting. With nothing else to present, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much. All right.
I was looking through,